this is Isabelle Litzler, the place to be to develop your skills and grow your potential. So today I'm going to share with you 20 tips or 20 resume mistakes that people make and how to go about them, how you can be a better resume writer. By the same token, I'm also sharing with you my offer. If you want somebody else to write your resume, your Swiss application, I can do that for you. And this is the link below if you want to check this out. So what are the common resume mistakes that people make? What is number one is give vague employment dates. So if you're not consistent in your resume in terms of dates, that can ring a bell, not the right one. It's going to bring suspicion and people will not be engaged with your resume. So make sure that you always have coherence in the dates. So if you choose years. That's usually better if you stayed a long time with companies. I would say if you're more of a younger employee or millennial, probably you don't have 10 or 15 years with one organization. So it's better to actually have month and year, or sometimes even a day, month and year if it's really short and you need to be precise. Number two, letting inconsistency slip through. So in other words, one inconsistency there, another one somewhere else, your resume becomes very hard to read, recruiter will pass. Number three, failing to identify irrelevant work experience. I fight a lot on this with candidates. They want to keep everything on the resume, all the writings they've done, if they've wrote a thesis, if they've done a lot of things, they want everything listed. A resume is a marketing tool, so you want to highlight its highlights of your career. So what have you done that's worthy of attention, but it doesn't mean you have to write everything since you went out of college or even since high school. So make sure you pick relevant information and you highlight that. Number four, bolding the wrong information. So I like to use personally bolding for companies because I think companies will sell, and if you work for big names like Nike for tennis shoes, or you work for in IT, Microsoft, or those big companies, it doesn't really matter even your title. It's just the name of the company will bring attention. So I've always done that in my career. I've always had big name companies, and that's what attracted to my resume. So think about that when you think about what should I bold on my resume. Number five, making claims without measurable evidence. So in other words, and I will link that to another point a bit later about just using job descriptions and pasting that into your resume. If you're an accountant and you tell me you did the closing of the month, everyone else is doing the same thing. Now, if you're an accountant and you say you hired a new team, or you're, you developed a new process to smooth things within the team, and you put that in place on Excel or on SharePoint or what have you, that's becoming a little bit more something you did. Maybe you hired, a few new accountants on board. Maybe you train them on a specific tool. Now that's interesting, and that should be under your job description or under your header. But if you just, again, list tasks, that's not interesting. So that's number five. Number six is adding too much stuff to your job description. So in other words, if you have a bunch of stuff, again, piled up, under each title, and it's pretty much a copy paste of all the job descriptions that you had. So it's very linked to what I was saying. It's not going to be very relevant. Recruiters will get bored, and next. Number seven, including obvious skills. So what are obvious skills? Again, that's another element I fight with people on. MS Office is one of them in 2021. Who doesn't know how to use MS Office? Unless you're talking to your grandmother or grandfather, everyone can use MS Office, at least the basic things. Now, if you've used it extensively and you did a lot of projects with them, and again, I'm really highlighting extensive, in-depth, advanced PowerPoint or Excel, that could be interesting. But if you can just do what everyone can do with it, it's not going to make a huge difference. So again, think more about, can you use maybe design tools, maybe analytics tools, Salesforce, Google Analytics, all these things. That's going to be much more interesting and much more 2021. So MS Office is really old now. People are looking for other kinds of skills now. They become mainstream. So think about what else can you bring to the table in terms of technical skills. Maybe you've taken a course like Adobe, or you took a course in Python, in coding, all these things. That's becoming a little bit more 2021. Number 8, failing to explain a career change. This is something that you need to prepare. So it's hard. Changing careers is hard. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of know-how. You can't just paste your new title on top and just say, okay, now I'm leaving accounting and I want to be in marketing. People are not going to get it, especially in Switzerland, where you need to come with a background check, a background experience, and recruiters need to be able to check that you can do those things. So if you say, hey, I'm in Switzerland, I love the mountains, I think it's great. You know what, I've been doing restoration for many years, and I've been, or I was a manager in a restaurant. You know what, now I'm in Switzerland, I want to do something with skiing or linked to outdoors activities or what have you. I'm just going to put that on top and just apply. You need to explain the change, what drove you to make that change, Maybe you followed a partner and, you started learning more about ski activities or mountains, and you realized that you wanted to learn more about it, and there was a huge shift and you tested it, etc. So you need to put that in a story format where, whatever you've done before, now you want to take a different direction, but it needs to be worked on. So that's why people like myself, we work on that with you to tell the story of why did you change, and why is it relevant for a company, what can you bring to the table, etc. So it's always again about what can you bring to the table. And usually when you're changing careers, you're very junior because you're starting from scratch, so you need to get a bit of experience. You need to test before you send your resume that there's a market for that. So before you go and flood your resume to everybody with your new career that you want to do, make sure there's a market for it. So there's checkpoints before you actually fully apply, in my view, and that's how I coach people who want to change careers, and I do workshops on that. Number 9, getting too cute with the designs. I know in certain countries, and again in English speaking countries, you see it in the different tools that you have online. Sometimes resumes can be very graphic. It doesn't really work so well in Switzerland. In Switzerland, I would say the more minimalist that you are, the better chance you have to get called. So keep a minimalist resume. By minimalist, I mean, a lot of space, very simple, easy to read, very easy font. Maybe you want to add a bit of color as the, something a bit daring or something like that, but don't get too crazy about it. If you're in design or graphic design or creative jobs, maybe you can try a bit something different. I just saw someone who went extreme and did his poster in throughout Switzerland, and I thought, he didn't check the market. I mean, maybe that would be a great campaign to do if you lived in Boston or New York or a big city and you want to do something flashy and daring, and maybe that could work. But in Switzerland, if you understand the culture, people are very private. People like people who are discreet. So if you're the type of person who can showcase yourself out there to the world, they might be a bit scared that you're going to be someone that's too vocal or not discreet within the company. So that's a bad red mark on yourself. And if you broadcast yourself like this, that's it. Your name is out there, and the mark is on your resume. So be careful before you make a huge daring kind of proposition like this. Check with someone who understands the Swiss market. Do your research before. I know there's a temptation sometimes where, okay, you're out of work, let's do something different. I am all for being magnetic, and I talk about it, being magnetic on your profile, attracting to your profile, but there's the right way to attract, and then there's the wrong way. And sometimes you have to be a bit careful of what you choose as a tool. A great tool to get attention and to be very visible is to use the online tools and do a very good resume, very well written, do a good LinkedIn profile. That's something that you can work on. I would say people need to start there before they go and do really amazing big stuff. Start with the basics right. Do you have a good resume? Do you have a good LinkedIn? Is it coherent? I'm sure if I were to check, these people don't do this. So before you go crazy on some amazing kind of thing, make sure you have the basic right. At least for Switzerland, that's how it works. And probably networking as well with the right people in the niche markets that will get you to the job that you want. So that's for getting too cute on the designs or getting too crazy on marketing your profile. Number 10, listing education at the top of the page. Unless you're 18, you just graduate high school and you're starting your college education and you want to get an internship, that's the only time I would say you have your education on top. Other than that, you're an experienced professional. I want to see your experiences, especially in Switzerland. Experience sales, not your education. So you have to know this. Number 11, choosing a weak verb. So again, we talked about this with another HR expert. You need to be a bit more creative in the verbs that you use. So instead of using manage or led or did this task, you know, try to be a bit more creative. Use the dictionary to find some synonyms. So what other word could you use besides manage? Maybe a specific piece you did that's a bit more clear than just managing something, which is very broad. So that's another example. Number 12, failing to use enough white space. So it's completely linked to what I was saying. The minimalist resume is really what gets you the interview, because you're showing that you're someone very clear-cut, you know, to the point. You're not going to go way outside of the equation. And remember that companies are looking for people that are easy to manage, that are going to fit within a certain template. So if you're someone who's a bit outside of the box, I would say probably you need to start your own business, or, you know, do freelancing or something like that. But when you're trying to be part of a team inside an organization, they prefer profiles that are going to be very cut for specific boxes. So that's basically how it works. Copying and pasting job descriptions, number 13. So I tell people to get some inspiration from job descriptions, but don't go out and copy that into your resume. That would look really lack of respect. If I'm an employer and I see you copied exactly my job description, I'm going to be a bit upset. Now, there's nothing wrong with trying to find something that's close to it. It's actually going to help with the matchmaking in the machine, you know, when you apply online. That's okay, but you don't want to do a copy paste from their job description. Number 14, hobbies, and including very widespread hobbies. So if you put reading and writing, or reading and, I don't know, doing sports or something like that, and it's very general, like you go maybe to the gym once a week, that's not going to be a differentiator. Now, if you're a marathon runner, if you've created something, you know, a hobby on the side, maybe you're a professional, almost professional photographer, and you do regular contests or something like that, that's interesting. So just think about, is it something you do once in a while, very low key like everyone else, or are you really an expert? For example, I know some people who have book clubs. So if you host a book club, for example, every other week, then that's something interesting to show. It shows that you're very, you're a people person, you like to organize things. That's a great tool to actually get seen also as a job hunter. So I would really encourage you to do that. But again, if it's something like you watch a movie and you like, you know, playing tennis once a month, that's not going to help. Number 15, giving a non-descriptive objective. So again, being too broad in your resume. I have a very simple template, is that I have people write the job that they target and a few skills. So that's something I communicate. If you look at my material, it's the same everywhere. I say use the title header and then put some technical skills and some soft skills. So for example, you would have a marketing specialist with keen to learn, advanced analytics or something like that. That's going to be really your banner, and that's what you're going to showcase to the world. Number 16, selecting a tiny font. You want to select the right font. So on a resume, again, if it's not something that's easy to read and well presented, it's going to make it tough. And remember that sometimes people print the resume. You want anybody to be able to see without glasses, or to see immediately what's important. So I would rather you put less stuff on the resume, but it's easy to read, than you try to fit in every single thing, which again, for most people, I would say probably 30% of their resume can be easily removed because it doesn't bring value. So you have to think about that when you watch this video. You know, is everything on your resume relevant to the job and the career that you want right now? Because you probably have stuff all over the place, really, because people send me their resume, it's really busy. It's almost like they try to put as much in there in the 2 pages or 1 page, and it's like, let me see how much I can get there. Let's do different fonts. And it's not about how much can you get in 2 pages. It's more about what do you want to do, what are the experiences that are relevant, and how are you going to showcase that for somebody to call you. Again, think more about the marketing tool than a document where you put everything there. Number 17, saving your resume using an outdated file format. So make sure you use, again, the most recent versions of the software that's also showing that you're on top of things, and it's going to be easier for individuals to click and open. And also it goes with number 18, the file name that you put on there. So if I'm a recruiter, I'm very busy, I get 5 files from you, which is sometimes the case when you apply via an agency in Switzerland. They want to see everything about you. They ask for a lot of documents. So make sure it's easy to identify in the inserts, in the attachments, what the documents are. So isabel.litzler.doc, or, you know, Isabel Litzler cover letter, or, you know, references, etc., so people can see what it is. Number 19, ignoring application instructions. Please write this down, especially for Switzerland. That can be a deal breaker there if you're not following instructions. So it doesn't matter you know, how much you know how to do resume writing and so forth. If you don't follow instructions and give the information in a proper format, you're going to be disqualified. So there's rules like this for a lot of different positions. For example, in the international organization, there's a deadline, and if you submit it a few hours after the deadline, it's not going to be taken into account. So that's the case a lot with international organization where they have a lot of rules. So deadlines is one of them. How to present the file is another one. Which documents to include. All that needs to be really paid attention to. Also languages, you know, if you're in a specific language, you want to use the same language of the application. So pay attention to all these details before you apply. And finally, the last one, not including a photo. Basically now in social media and everything in recruitment is all about your digital self and your ability to showcase what you can do and who you are as a person. I think it cuts through the chase. People can see what you look like, you know, and see if it fits the company's idea. It's always better than to discover on the day of the interview that you're not the right profile that they're looking for, and to have wasted your time. So I think whatever, you know, put it out there. It's the same as birth date or address or all this, you know, permit status. Just put it out there, and then people can decide if you're the right fit, as opposed to trying to hide things. You know, whenever you try to hide things, it's always the one thing that's going to be a deal breaker in your application. So it ends up actually working against you, because it's the one thing you really focus on, and it's usually the one thing that's going to get you disqualified. So I hope this was very helpful, this whole chat about the 20 things that can really get you out of a job opportunity. Feel free to comment below. Do you agree with those 20 tips? Did you notice, for example, that there were other ones that you can give to the community here, or things you paid attention to, or you pay attention to right now to get better job opportunities? Thank you very much. I will talk to you soon.